Welcome to the Mostly Accurate Podcast. This is episode 2.
We are going to start off today's episode by going over some of the comments we got both on YouTube and from some of the people who watch it that did not comment on YouTube. And then we'll move into our main topic, which we will talk about in a little bit. So let's just start from the top. One commenter says, interesting, I may like to voice an opinion of reason in the future. Thank you for that comment. This is actually somebody we know, and they're talking about potentially coming on the podcast in the future, or like at a later date, so we'll see about that. Our next commenter says, you guys are so uninformed. Trump has literally said he doesn't want to want big bans for abortion or anything on the federal. Like anything in the federal. He wants it in the states. Why don't you guys do research for the love of our Lord's name?
It's a good point, but we never actually said that he would put a federal ban on abortion.
That was me who said that. I said, people something if he were to do that, which we didn't go super deep into that topic, but we are informed and we do know some of the things that former president and soon to be in this January comes around, President Trump has said. It could seriously affect people there if it was a nationwide ban.
Well, informed might be an exaggeration. We do some research, but again, we're students. The title of the podcast is Mostly Accurate. We will fact check anything we say, and we will try and correct any mistakes that we make.
All right. So now we're going to be moving into the topic of today's video.
Yeah, so the main portion of the video will be talking about if we are actually good citizens and what it means to be a good citizen.
In our opinion, of course.
Yeah, in our opinion and in the opinion of the U.S. citizens and immigration services.
Yeah, so a bit of a mixed bag here. You just want to start right off the bat with the first point?
Yeah, I do.
So it is support and defend the Constitution. So you want to talk about why that's important for a little bit? Defend the Constitution. Obviously, this is a pretty important one, top of the list here. Without supporting and defending the Constitution, what is our country really, right? It's founded on these principles, and they are integral to the foundation of our country. The Constitution does change from time to time. New amendments are added. Some are removed. There's a specific word for that. I'm forgetting it at the moment.
I think when you amend the Constitution, you add an amendment.
Okay,
yeah.
Yes, amended.
Do I think that I support and defend the Constitution? Yes, I do.
So, but what is it really to support and defend the Constitution? I think we'll really get into that with some of these later questions, but I guess with the supporting factor, you have to really, I'd say it comes down to voting, because you as a citizen, you can't go, and change what's in the Constitution, but you can vote for elected officials that have your best interests in mind, or as close to, the things that you value as possible. And then that will speak for your community, and that just kind of goes up the chain. It's just, voting is super important. Get those people that believe in what you believe in there, and hopefully, it will all work out.
Definitely. I think it's important when you can't directly affect what is in the Constitution, but you can support it and defend it, like this says.
Yes.
And you can research it, and you can affect it by, like Jackson was saying, we can vote for what we believe in.
And I think one of the most important, before we move on, I do think I support and defend the Constitution, which is, and the way I think I do this is by the next point we're about to talk about, which is, a way to support and defend it if you can't directly affect it is staying informed on the issue. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, so when you stay informed on the issues affecting your community, you are staying up to date, and you are making sure your information is relevant, and that it is accurate. So reading stuff like the news and checking up on the reliability of those sources is really important, and seeing what is actually happening in your local community and on the state level and on the national level.
Yeah, super important. Again, back to that voting thing, because that's really how you as a citizen can have like the most impact. If you're not privy to, the political promises or, how someone is campaigning, things that they've said in the past, what they've done in the past, super important to look at, especially if they've held a position in government before, you're not going to be able to make the most educated decision, and you might end up voting for someone, they get into power, and then they do a bunch of things, and you're like, well, I didn't know they were going to do these things. If you've done some research, you might have found that out, and that can seriously affect the way our country is run, and it can, damage the core values of this country and what it was founded on. All right, next we have respect and obey federal and state laws. Oh, I'm sorry. Again, I forgot. I do think I stay relatively informed on most topics.
No, I would agree with that. I think I do as well.
But I'd say that I definitely stay informed to the best of my ability. Obviously, still learning a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of misleading things in the news, depending on where you're looking. There's some people super far right, some people super far left, yelling completely heinous things about the other side. Some people that are meeting in the middle ground, saying more reasonable things. It's kind of hard to decipher who really has like the truth of all of it, but I do my best.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely do better. We can all do better on this.
Well, we can all do better.
Next section we talk about is the democratic process, which we did touch on in the last one, but just keeping, again, up to date and informed, and then also actively making sure that you vote and you talk about it, and you inform others as well.
Super important. Can't do a lot of the voting stuff yet, but
yeah, we can still have a say. We can talk to the people in our life that can vote, and we can read up on it for when we can vote.
Yes, certainly. After that, we have respect and obey federal and state and local laws. You want to talk about that?
Well, I can't personally talk about any crimes that I've committed, not on this podcast. Maybe in the court of law, we'll see. But no, I would say I am a law-abiding citizen, federally, and by state and by local.
Yes, super important thing to do, right? You voted for, somebody. The majority voted for who's in power, at least ideally. The Electoral College doesn't always work out in the favor of the popular vote all the time, but that person is in power because they were voted on, and even if they create laws that you don't like, you most of the time are going to have to follow them, especially if they're little things, and these might be state to state. In that case, just move states. If they are federal law, the best you can really do without breaking any of them is going to be trying to vote for somebody better, trying to stay more informed so you know who to vote for next time that has what you're looking for in mind. And, defending and supporting the Constitution with some really heinous federal or state laws, you may have to break them. Now, I'm not condoning this in any way, but it might come to that. If something completely ridiculous was passed in legislation, then, that might be something you had to do. But I do think that I usually respect and obey all the laws that, the average person does.
It's interesting that what you were saying, you on a state level, if there's something like, if there's a law that you don't agree with in your state, just move. And on a level that it does work, but I would say it's difficult to just say just move, because they are enforcing a lot of if you want to go somewhere else just to get a specific law different, then they do they have policies about that.
Oh, really? I didn't know much about that.
No, okay, so here's the thing. I think with Trump's plan, again on abortion, it's like he's, maybe not right now, but I feel like he has a policy. I know I shouldn't be saying I feel like,
yeah,
but I feel like he has a policy that's making it so that you can't travel states to get an abortion, I think. So maybe...
I think I do my best to try to abide by these federal and state laws.
Yeah, I as well.
Yes.
The next section we're going to talk about is respecting the rights, beliefs, and opinions of others. Personally, I think that I do this pretty well. Again, there's room for improvement anywhere.
Course.
You can be better, and disagreement it's given. Everybody disagrees. Everybody has different beliefs, but it's important to respect others and their beliefs and opinions and rights.
And certainly, disagreements are fine. Arguments are fine. Those are healthy things to have. Those are great things to have. That's how a lot of, problems come to a resolution, where we're just sitting here, we're talking about it. I don't like this. I don't like this. Let's find some middle ground. Let's try to fix it and work it out so that we're both mostly happy. There is, obviously those people who take it to an extreme and they don't respect people's rights or opinions, and they do things that could hurt other people or that hurt other people's images, especially on social media with the hurting people's images thing. A lot of slander you'll see nowadays, and even some in the major news, which is important to take a look at. Those are the people that are supposed to be keeping us unbiasedly informed, and they don't always do the best job at it.
Yes. I agree with what you say and about how people's images can be hurt in the media. And another really important thing to remember about this topic is when we see other people not following, respecting other people's rights, beliefs, and opinions, kind of keep them in check. Even if it's your friend, be not to be preachy, but
yeah, chill out, man.
Yeah, just hey. That's not cool.
I think I do a pretty good job of respecting people's rights and beliefs. Might come across where, sometimes we're doing this podcast, we're trying to push something on you guys. That's not what we're intending. We're having a conversation here, and we're trying to inform you guys along the way. So we're not the best fact checkers, but we do try.
Yeah, absolutely. We might not make it very obvious, but in the description, we say you shouldn't take anything we say as political,
legal,
or legal,
advice.
Advice.
Yes. And
also, if we say anything offensive, you should let us know in the podcast. If there's anything we can improve, or in the comments, sorry.
Yes.
If there's anything we can improve, you should also tell us in the comments.
That's what we're trying to do here. Obviously, it's a school project. We're trying to make it better each week. Your feedback's greatly appreciated. We don't want to go off on too long of a tangent here, so let's jump right back on. You said you do think you do a pretty good job respecting people's beliefs.
I do, yes.
I as well. And then participating in your local community.
I definitely think Jackson excels here more than me. Recently, I have quit Boy Scouts, not officially, but Jackson is still participating in Boy Scouts of America, and that definitely gives you some service time, some community service, which helps you participate in your local community.
And like he was saying, participating in your local community service is a huge part of it. I've done over 100 hours that are logged as of last year. But there's more to it than just community service. Obviously, helping out, setting up or taking down flags for holidays is one of the things that we do. Helping retire flags, things like that. Just little services. I'm talking a lot about flags here, but we do other things. Cleaning places up. But I'm also in a couple of other organizations that do community service. Definitely very important part. But something else that's important is just being active in your community, building relationships with people around you. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, why is this important to being a good citizen? Why do I need to, be friends with people? It's because, it's not all about the big things. It's about the little things, the community you're building. Would you rather be in a community where you didn't know anybody and you didn't have any friends? That leads your community susceptible to, people lying to each other, people stealing, people being at each other's throats when they have disagreements. If you're maybe not the best friends, but you're at least acquainted with most of the people in your community. When you're walking down the street, give them a wave, talk to them, start a conversation. Then when those agreements come up, we can have them in a more civil and informal manner, which makes it feel a lot lighter, especially if somebody messes up, says something offensive. If you're friends with that guy, you can understand, I'm sorry, man. If you're not, it's like, that was a personal jab at me. So it's super important, in my opinion, to participate in community and local events.
Yeah, definitely what Jackson said was right about building relationships and participating in events, but you also have to talk about what we were discussing earlier on participating in local politics and making sure you stay up to date and that you are you're informed and that you vote.
Absolutely. I think that I do a pretty good job with this. I'm part of multiple organizations, Boy Scouts, 4-H, trying to get an FFA, just to name a couple of them. And then you do a pretty good job with this too. At least, I'd say you do.
Well, in my opinion, I just for the sake of honesty, I wouldn't check myself off for that one. I don't think that I meet that requirement, but I can always do better.
I think you're pretty close to meeting it at least.
I'll do better.
Yeah. Always room for improvement. Next thing we're going to talk about here is paying income and other taxes honestly and on time to federal, state, and local authorities. I don't know if authorities is the right word to use there, but agencies maybe? I feel like agencies. Authorities? Okay. So this is obviously, again, really important to be a responsible citizen. If you're not chipping in, even if you don't like the taxes or how they're implemented, it's not okay, because they're there for a reason. If you think they get misused, vote differently, I guess. Try to get people in office that will use them in the way you think will be best suited for them, but you definitely can't just forgo paying them.
Yeah, I agree. And it's very important, but it doesn't really come into play with me and Jackson, because we're not old enough to be paying taxes yet. But
yes, we are. If we work a job, we have to pay income taxes, and we pay taxes
above a certain.
Okay, doesn't matter. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, super important. If I had a job where I had to pay taxes, obviously, getting paid for some work I do at home doesn't quite meet that criteria, but I would be paying them 100%. Got to make sure that I'm chipping in and paying my dues, basically, because I was born in this country. I may have decided to be in a country where I have to pay taxes, but I definitely love this country, and I want to make sure that there's no big problems with anything regarding taxes, so I'm gonna pay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Going on to the next topic is serve on a jury when called upon. This one, it's definitely more of just a legal responsibility that, again, does not apply to us yet, but it will, and I can say preemptively, if I get called to serve on a jury, then I will go if required.
Yes, certainly. This is something I feel like a lot of people complain about. Some people might try to get out of, different ways, in different ways, and there are, several reasons why you might want to, or might need to serve on this jury. You might not want to, but
our production manager right now is looking up how to be excused from jury duty. So clearly he does not check this requirement off. He wants to get out of it.
Helpful.
All right, there are actual reasons that you don't have to serve on a
if you're
jury.
going to, I understand. Okay, so due to hardships, extreme inconveniences, public necessity, or any reason deemed, sorry, it's hard to read from here. Any reason deemed sufficient by the court for a period of time the court deems necessary. I mean, if you meet these criteria, obviously you don't have to serve on, if you can't, you won't, you don't. But if you can, you should, and it's important. You shouldn't be like, I have all this work, I can't do it, or else I'll, won't be able to pay for, my children food or something. I don't know if that's not really the case, because, that's causing them to have to find a new person who might actually be in that circumstance where they can't participate, participate in being part of a jury, and then they feel obligated to, and maybe they do, and it could cause all sorts of things to happen. You never know.
Absolutely. Closing up on that one and going to the next one. Defend the country if the need should arise.
I could talk more on this topic.
Go ahead,
probably. Yeah, I think this is super important. I think that military service is super important, super honorable, and just something, in my personal opinion, that the majority of people should at least entertain the thought of. If you're not going to be, go full on into the military, enlist or go through, a program like ROTC, not the JROTC, like an actual ROTC college program to become an officer right away, then you should at least consider the National Guard, something like that. A lot less work than the actual military. Some people might refute that in the comments. At least in my opinion, it's a lot less work. I personally will be enlisting in the United States military after high school. I think it is my civic responsibility, and I think it's just a really important thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it's really important for people. And in my plan that I have written down, I do want to join the Air Force National Guard. It's still tentative. I don't know if I will do it, but I want to.
Yes. The Founding Fathers wanted us to be
This
able
isn't on the
to...
list. You added that. You added that while we were talking. No, we're not going to say that.
The editor added a couple of things. Delete that one. And then we do have something down note that I would like to just bring up real quick, and that's anybody can run for office if they meet the requirements. It's important to know. A lot of people might think, oh, I can't run for an office, and obviously something like president, as a first-time player without a lot of money, you probably won't get if you run for it. But local offices, you can always start there. You can run for your mayor, and then after, mayor, you can run for the governor, you can run for a council member, something that, gets you out there. If you're like, I don't like any of the candidates, be the candidate, if possible. That's just something that I think, a lot of people might overlook.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even realize that they could if they wanted to. And, of course it's not going to be possible for a lot of people. I think it's possible for a lot more people than you would think.
Yes. And then, so that kind of wraps up all the main points we had. Is there anything else you want to talk about regarding being a good citizen or, doing things like that?
Yeah, you should know we got all of this, all of our points from U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services.
Yes.
We'll link it in the description. That was just basically covering all the responsibilities of a U.S. citizen and what is expected. It was on the Should You Consider Being a U.S. Citizen page. And I found it really interesting if you want to check it out for yourself. I don't know.
Yes. And I guess overall, do you think you are a good U.S. citizen?
Overall, I do think I am a good U.S. citizen. Maybe I'm average, and maybe I can definitely be better. But
yes.
How about you?
I'd be inclined to say so. I do a lot for the community. I would do the things regarding the state and the federal offices if I could, by voting and things like that, doing jury duty if they made me. But
certainly don't want to.
And that kind of wraps up everything we're going to talk about today. We will be back again next week with another video.
Yep, this has been the Mostly Accurate Podcast, the Imperfect Podcast. Thanks for watching. Come back next time.